Hey Joya, just put this exercise video together, demonstrating some of the exercises that I thought might help you with the low back and the right hip discomfort you're having. So yeah, just based on what we talked through and went over today, um, I want to start by thinking maybe just got some myofascial tightness and restrictions in the posterior right hip because the pain patterns you're describing seem to align with that. So we can get we can experience it sort of low back center, particularly right into the glute muscle, and then even down into the back of the leg, and sometimes down into even as far as the calf muscle, where we'll get the referral pain patterns from this specific area. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and massage any tightness or restrictions we have in that right hip, or really it's going to be like that posterior right hip on the glute muscle there. And then we're going to just do one stretch for that area as well. And then we're going to finish with like sort of alignment or like a posture exercises to see if we can sort of pull it all together there at the end. So two massage exercises to start. And so hopefully you got a tennis ball laying around somewhere. So we'll start. So the first two exercises are going to use the tennis ball. And we're basically going to do some myofascial release into that posterior hip. So trying to loosen up the muscle tissue, take out any tightness, eliminate any fascial restrictions or trigger points you'll hear them referred to, and then adding a stretch component to that in our third exercise. So tennis ball, and the first one we'll also need something to elevate our feet on. So the two areas that we're going to work on massaging are on the right hip, and it's going to be on the first area is going to be sort of on the crest of the right hip. So if I were to take my hand and literally push in and feel for the top of my hip bone would be right here. So we're going to see if we can try to apply some soft tissue release with this tennis ball, not like on the side, but it's going to go from the side, crest of the hip, and then we're going to move back posteriorly or back a little bit towards our tailbone or sacrum, but not too far back, not all the way to the small of the back. Start at the side and maybe go 3 or 4 inches back. And we're going to just basically apply some pressure into this area, and we're going to stay there and try to massage that area for probably like a couple minutes. So that'll be exercise or the area we want to focus on first. And then the second exercise, we're going to take the tennis ball, we're going to move it back further, and we're going to take it a little bit down. So a little bit more into not quite the belly of the glute muscle, but fairly close. Okay. So first one is a little bit higher and in, and let's go through how we're going to do that. So I have a fold-out chair here that I'm going to use. So I'm going to place my feet up on the chair, take the tennis ball, and what I'm going to do is basically just almost like a bridge, lift my hips up, and then I'm going to place the tennis ball where we talked about in the first one, sort of the crest of the hip, and then I'm just going to drop the weight of my hips into that tennis ball. And you might find something there right away. You might find that area is a little bit sensitive and tight. And if so, we can just we're just trying to relax and try to release some of that tension, flushing out any sort of waste or toxins that's maybe built up in that area, and try to flush in some new blood flow into that area. Okay. Other things we can do when we're here, we can do a little bit of just gentle rocking with our knees side to side to massage that. We can, literally drop our knees to the right side a little bit more and almost get onto our side over here on the tennis ball. So you're searching for any areas that seem a little bit more tighter than other areas. You might get on here and it might just feel fine. You're not really feeling, it's not really causing any tension or anything like that. So if that's the case, then, just sort of shift the ball around and see if you can find anything. Okay. And finding those little hot spots and staying on there and just trying to relax and breathe. And again, we can target this area for probably a couple couple minutes. Okay. Second area we talked about was not quite as high, a little bit back towards the sacrum, a little bit more, not all the way back, and a little bit lower, right? So we're going to and get to that area. I want to take my feet to the floor, knees bent, feet flat. I want to hip bridge, take the tennis ball, and again, just drop basically my backside into the tennis ball. And once we're there, again, we're just searching for any tenderness. Again, we can do some, we can rock our hips side to side, massage that tissue. We can do a little bit of knee drops side to side. We could take just the right leg only, extend out and pull, knee in, knee out. So like a tack and floss so much. We can sort of rotate this knee in and out a little bit. So anything to try to, take away any tension and get, a little bit of release into that muscle tissue. So again, and in this targeted area, we can stay down for, we can work on that for, at least a minute, working out to probably two minutes. If it feels good and you're getting a lot of benefit from it, you feel like a lot of release and tension coming out of that area, and you're able to relax more and breathe into it, and the pain sort of goes down a little bit. That's also a good sign, and we can, continue to work on. All right, now that we've massaged it, loosened it up, we're just basically going now to add a stretch component to that specific area. We'll stretch both sides, but primarily we're working on stretching out the right hip. So the stretch I want you to do, I'm going to move the camera to this back wall behind me. I think it'll give the best angle for it. So we'll need a wall at home. So you'll see we're going to elevate both feet up onto the wall for this particular stretch. All right, so we're going to come into the wall, hips down, and then feet up onto the wall. We want our shins parallel to the floor, maybe like 90 degrees or a little bit further back with your hips in the starting point. Okay, so we're going to use the distance hips to the wall to find sort of where we need to be to activate a nice stretch, right? So you might start just a little bit back behind your knees to see how this goes first. And the stretch is going to be, I'm going to take my right ankle and I'm going to cross it over my left knee. And, obviously I want to rest my spine all the way back. And I just want to breathe in the stretch. So we're looking for a stretch into the right back, the posterior of the right hip, which we were just massaging. We could also take this right knee and rotate it towards the front wall, and that should give you a little bit more stretch into the side of this hip as well. Okay, so if you start here and this is like really tight, you bring your knee back and it's really hard, and you're feeling a lot of stiffness in here, and you got to like roll so that means we're too close. So we want to basically restart and scoot our hips back further from the wall until we can get into a nice position, feel the stretch, but we're not like super feeling it or, too much, or we're not being able to like relax our both hips into the floor. Okay. And then the other one is if you get into it and you're not feeling a whole lot, if you're in there and it's just feeling real easy, then we can scoot our hips just a little bit closer to the wall, bring that ankle across, get in here, and then again, we can rotate this knee towards the front wall. You should feel an increased stretch in the back of the glute here and the hip. Once we find the right distance and we feel a good stretch, I want you to do just deep breath cycles. So I want to inhale big through my nose, big deep inhales, and then I want to slow exhale through the mouth. Big deep inhale, and then slow relaxed exhale through the mouth. Okay, so we can use our breath. So anytime we're stretching or holding like static stretches like that, we can use our breathing to try to relax the central nervous system and gain a little bit more out of that stretch. We're trying to relax into the stretch. The longer we hold it, hopefully we feel a little bit more release, and we can use our breathing, nice deep breathing, and slow long exhales to provide some release into that tension while we're doing the stretch. So 10 deep cycles on the right hip, and then 10 deep breath cycles on the left side. Okay, then you're going to finish with a posture exercise or a strengthening exercise. So we're going to make sure that the insides of the hips are doing their job as well. Thinking maybe that for whatever reason, some of the activities you're doing, it seems like maybe that right, especially the right hip and the exterior muscles are, I don't know, maybe like compensating and doing more of the work, and all, any of the movements you're doing when you're using your right hip, and maybe the insides, the adductor muscles aren't quite doing their job. So the outsides of the hips and the inside muscles of the leg, they work in tandem. So sometimes it just gets out of whack, and we're trying to get those back in balance. So we want the insides of the legs to do equal work as the outside and the posterior side of the hip. So this is just going to be a lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat. You're going to take, if you have a yoga block at home, you can use that. If you don't have a yoga block, just use some paper towels, unopened paper towels. That seems to work pretty good as well. So knees bent, feet flat. Take the block, place it into the knees. Okay, and we're gonna lie back. I like palms up, get a good chest stretch here, and then we're gonna focus on a contraction into that block. And so what I want to think about is both legs doing same equal work, so the same amount of effort, and then also can they go at the same time? So same time contract, and then same equal strength on each side. Okay, good hard squeeze, hold for 2 seconds, and then just release that tension. Squeeze the block, hold, and release. And we want to give it a pretty good contraction there. I'd say about 70, at least 70, probably more like 80%. 80% of your strength and a good squeeze into that block. So I'm going to keep it simple at first, a good simple routine, see if we can figure out if anything is going on in the sort of external hip muscles, and see if that's contributing to it. So take note when you start the program, before you go to do the exercises, try to rate your pain level, say how you're feeling today, where you feeling it, what's the level of it, and then do the program, and then take note. Basically, did anything change? Did it get any better, same, or worse? So if you rank it a 6 to start, did it at least make it get down to a 2 or a 3 or something like that? Did you get any change at all? So you want to note that, so for information for us. And then another retest you could do, since we tested this today, you could, before you do anything, you could start with this. You could start with the left leg down and the right leg up. So you could do that test and see how that feels, right? So see how that hip flexion, that leg flexion feels. Are we getting any discomfort there again, right? So do you have discomfort when you do that motion? And then go through the exercises and then retest that and note that, did any change there? Same, better, worse? So that can give us some information on that as well. So, and we probably should just follow up. I'd say do this for about a week. Let's give it a week, and then maybe we follow up next week. Maybe get on one more time just to go through how it's going. Look, if it's going great, you feel like, man, I'm getting a lot of benefit. This feels really good. Then we'll just keep working on it. But either way, it'd be good to check back in, see how you're doing. Yeah, it's good seeing you guys today. I know it's brief, but was good seeing you both. And yeah, definitely missed you guys. So I hope that helps. And let's touch base next week.